has been locked away in chains. 15 years of struggle and pain. Kids taken away by a faceless form. She rises up in the darkest storm. Her voice touches hearts in a broken state. Podcast waves spark their fight of fate. Brenda's strength like a blazing fire. Inspire the lost to lift their desire. Brenda's cry echoes loud and clear. A warrior's heart, no room for fear. Stand up tall, let no one bring you down. In her voice, their freedom found.
What is it?
Government shadows, secrets untold. Brenda's story, fierce and bold. She helps others break their chains. Together they rise from the ashes of pain. Her husband waits behind iron bars, but Brenda knows they'll reach the stars. Oh, her love unyielding, a beacon bright in the silence of the night. Brenda's cry echoes loud and clear. A warrior's heart, no room for fear. Stand up tall, let no one bring you down. In her voice, their freedom found. Brenda's cry echoes loud and clear. A warrior's heart, no room for fear. Stand up tall, let no one bring you down. In her voice, their freedom found. Freedom found.
Hey, hello. What am I getting? Some feedback? Shoot. Hold on. Hold on. You can hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I had another thing on the background. So today, what is the idea that we have that we can go forward and talk to? Maybe, darn it, I had something that I was going to show y'all, but now what did I do? Oh, here it is. It's right here. Okay. Of course, we like to keep all our focus on what's going on with our kids, no matter what stage we're at with the punishing of CPS, because the CPS definitely seems to be punishing the parents when most of us, didn't really do anything wrong, and we're like, hey, what's going on here? It's like they got the control, they got all their eggs in the basket or something. I don't know what you want to say, but they're not only going after our kids, is as me and Chris, like, we're older parents to Sage and Christopher, because we had them later in life. We met early. I had my oldest kids when I was 18, 19, and I had my youngest when I was pushing 35. So why? Because we love kids, and we felt sad to see our older kids going off to college And Chris was like, let's have some more kids, because our life was our children. In fact, like the house we had in Florida where the children were taken, I mean that house was just made, like Chris did everything to get like that house fixed up after we moved in. I mean, it did need a lot of work, and that's kind of what me and Chris's thing ended up being, is like we were flipping houses and stuff, and kind of uh, have really have had a lot of success doing that. But in any case, when my husband makes a whole room like that used to be like, it was this almost like a shed that was connected to one part of the house, and it had big barn doors, but I mean they were sealed shut. And he worked for like months on this one room, and he wanted it to be a science slash playroom for the kids. And we had was able to get this gas oven. We decided we're going to put this oven, hook up a propane tank to it, and we're gonna do cooking with Chris and Sage. We're gonna make a pizza today or whatever, because the kids love to cook and as well. And then they had their like what do you call them? Hot Wheels, a Matchbox racetrack in there, all the kids' stuff, and it was really coming together. In fact, Sage and Chris both helped Chris paint it in there. It was looking beautiful. We had a lot of stuff like in the dining room. Like we always had kids stay out of the dining room because this is where we would keep the circular saw and the wood and all the stuff that we would be taking into that room when we needed it. So you're always going to have the one room in your house that kind of everything is going to be thrown in there while you're doing something else. Eventually, I know everybody's has one of these rooms that you're gonna like throw everything into. Oh, somebody's coming over, let's throw everything in there. So but our kids knew not to go in there. I mean, they're 10 and 12. I mean, my son, my youngest, 10 years when he was 10, very responsible young man. I mean, we homeschooled all our children, and he doesn't have any delays at all. And Sage, however, does, and she has autism. I mean, a diagnosis from my three oldest children, who are doctors that graduated top of their class, is that they had said that she's got something called Angelman syndrome. And I don't know if any of y'all ever heard of this, but Angelman syndrome. Uh, baby, you saying I looking tired? Hello, I told y'all I had to get up. Now, I'm having my coffee. But Angelman syndrome is it's really just very similar to autism. I mean, there are severe cases of that, just like autism. I mean, y'all can look it up. But actually, in actuality, it's almost like they'll have these like episodes of throwing up. Like every child is different or something, but it's like they really have a low constitution when it comes to certain things. And then even as a baby, Sage, like we had several times we had to take her to the emergency room because she literally couldn't hold anything down, and her little self, just like a little toddler, really, at that point. I mean, I had to take her to the emergency room, and they're sticking, IVs in her. It was like so stressful and everything. But that was when we were up in New Hampshire, and my oldest son was uh, a doctor working at Dartmouth. So, I mean, she was in good hands and everything like that. But you just think about this, is like, wow, there's so many children on the autism spectrum or whatever you want to say, but they're not like Sage was not anything like nonverbal and stuff like that. And they kind of pushing that she was worse off than she was. The only time that she was regressing, I believe, was because of what happened when they were taken. So if you're going to take an autistic person or somebody with delays and put them in a situation with other children that have delays, I'm sorry to say, it's not, you're not going to progress that way. You're not going to be able to have them have the ability to move on and to move forward, because the only thing they see around them is, um, I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have interactions with other people that are similar to them, but it's not, you won't want to put them in a living situation like that. I think it would be better if they could be at home with their siblings and with their parents. It just seems like these things are really so simple that that's what's weird to me. Is okay, like and it even goes back to the old folk songs, like with the new Bob Dylan movie and all that. I mean, senators, congressmen, please heed my call. And how many of y'all, I know you're talking about it, calling your senators, calling your congressmen. Believe me, girl, I've been calling them before my kids were taken, because if there was something I thought that needed to be addressed, I mean, I'd be calling them. So I don't know if I got to the point where there was been so much disappointment. The senator's office would be say, "Oh yes, we're typing." You can hear them typing in all the information, and okay, we're gonna get it. Make sure, Senator, and everybody, whatever, will see it. But then you never hear anything back, and you go back through your notes and like, well, look at this is the last time I called them, and it's so weird, guys. I'm telling you, my life is like I'm living in a bizarre world. Like, if y'all ever seen the Truman Show, that movie, it's just like, I swear to God, it's like one day I'm thinking like, somebody's gonna pop out like, what is that one guy, and say you've been punked. Like, it's just like the worst punk in the world though, because it's like a never ending. But yeah, so to have somebody like a judge that initially was responsible for first taking and then the reason why my children were kept into the system, and later on and turn around and go up in front of a judge in her own circuit and say, oh, this man, my husband over here, has ruined her life and her children's life because of his bizarre entertainment. Um, it just like when they were like saying it over and over again. And if Lady P, I sent all those. And I could send them to you directly, but I sent all the like the hearing. There's two parts of the hearing, jury trial. You might not even want to look into that, but I mean, you could see the whole process. Fast forward to it, and then see the defense. And just like, I'd like to know what everybody y'all think about it, because I mean, the prosecutors like um downright just taking for word what this supposed victim judge is saying. And she's like, she's saying that my husband was calling her over and over again. Well, that's not true. So do you think that even these senators and whoever are also don't want to hear us calling, and don't want to hear, that's what they're there for, is what I've learned in school and everything like that, is that when you have a problem, you go to your leaders and see if you can report this problem to them, and hopefully that they would steer you in the right direction. If they can't help, there's somebody else that can. Now, but somehow when you criticize, people that are in your government or whatever, they turn around to make it seem like a threat. Now, it was interesting because for some reason I was looking up the word sedition, and So, sedition has actually been used to suppress and dissent and target political speech. Okay, but do y'all anybody realize like the history of Jesus? Okay, I don't know if y'all believe in Jesus. I think he is somebody that was a prophet that walked the earth. When do my prayers, I'm sorry, I know they say, through Jesus, but I take it right to God. I mean, God is the ultimate man. Just like I think the president, if I have a problem, hey, I want to go right to the president with it. I'm sorry, because we know the senators and congressmen and the governors and blah blah blah, the list goes on and on, or the people that are above your law enforcement, if you have a trouble there, and it's like, who is above all is the president, just like God is above all, over our lives, in my belief. But like I say, don't take my word for it. I believe that there's truth in the Bible, and if somebody's blabbing something about Jesus or God or whatever, if they can't back it up with your King James version of the Bible, then I'm sorry to say, I don't want to hear what you got to say. But anyways, okay, so Jesus was charged with sedition. So, but I guess apparently he was acquitted by Pilate and Herod, but Pontius Pilate, whatever. But I mean, Jesus was crucified as a rebel, and I don't know if any of y'all ever knew, because I've lived my whole life and I really, I've seen so many different stories about Jesus. And I'm sorry, it wasn't a big interest of mine, but I'm just, like I say, I try to just surround myself with people who know a lot about the Bible. And, but to further the definition of sedition and what Jesus was accused of is inciting resistance or violence, okay, creating a disturbance or revolt with the intent to overthrow the government, writing or speaking out against the government in a negative way. And this is what I Googled. I mean, so also when I was Googling sedition, the Oath Keeper thing came up. So, there was a whole thing. So now, hey, I don't know if y'all did, but I just learned something new about this sedition thing. But I know, like, if you end up, being the unfortunate one to go into jail or prison, you'll look on their wall and they say some of these violations that will, get you into lockdown or something like that. Power corrupts, absolutely. It's true. And then um they'll say see, that's why I can't multitask. I know I'm seeing the comments over there, but um that's one of the violations you could get if they think you're trying to incite a riot. You're going to be thrown into lockdown. And even if, like, say you're going around preaching about God, they can take that as you're trying to incite people. You're trying to get a group of people together and say, hey, this is what's going on. Anyways, I don't know why I'm getting into this, guys. Any other suggestions? Okay, this is the only good thing that came out of Dixie County, I guess I would think, was this article that it wasn't the Dixie County Advocate, the lady that thinks um I don't know. She's a very strange woman. I can tell you that much. But this newspaper that wants to keep plastering stuff about my husband. This was the other newspaper that actually had to go down because she would tell you about this lady I'm talking about. But this is when Chris ran for sheriff and put this, and actually this picture was a picture from when he ran for legislator. But in any case, it says, my name is Christopher Paul Cambron. I'm running for sheriff in Dixie County. I was a law enforcement specialist in the Air Force and licensed and bonded investigator for many years. I have experience with fire department, ambulance, where I volunteered. And a U.S. senator recommended me for a Presidential Citizens Award. for his work on national security. And any work that Chris had on national security was also a volunteer work. Okay, like putting his probability analysis in, and just like I say, he figures that the best way to get his information is hey, I'm going all the way to the White House with this. So when he realized that he has some type of gift of like you would hope if you had a gift it would be like to predict what's going on in the stock market, right? And then you could be a rich person. But I mean, we have to take the gifts that we have and try to move forward with it, because way back then President Clinton said, if you're good at something, never give up and just keep on trying. And that's what I swear this man has lived by that for the longest time. But it says, if elected, I will make many needed changes in the current law enforcement and always make myself available to the community. Wait a minute. Many people in the community have been encouraging me to continue my campaign for sheriff. So, in actuality, when we got this done, it was after the kids were taken. So, does that raise any flags to anybody that my husband, we come in there, we moved into Dixie County in 2014. And then by 2000 and probably the end of 2015, he's putting his hat into the ring and saying, "Hey, I'm going to run for sheriff." We have, and if you guys ever decide to do this, God forbid, I recommend nobody get into politics because it's such a dirty game. And Trump could tell you the same thing, I'm sure. But I mean, he's somebody with a lot of money, so he got it done. I mean, we're somebody that's trying to get in there, foot in the door, and with literally nothing. Okay. But just with our ideas, our probability analysis, and our promise that, hey, if you take us on or hire us for whatever reason as an advisor, you won't be disappointed. And the thing is there's been a lot of criticism along the way of throughout all these years about the different administrations. And in fact, I can tell you that we have really positive letters that came back during Clinton's administration. And what prompted Chris to do this was actually the school shooting that happened in Jonesboro, Arkansas, because that's where he grew up as a young kid. He grew up there, and he's like, and then the next step is when Timothy McVeigh, he everybody on the news was over there saying, "Oh, this is like a terrorist act from another country. Whoever would run their vehicle into the tax building or whatever it was, whatever that building was." And Chris is calling up the White House, talking just to a regular operator that picks up the phone, and he said, his advisory was, "Hey, this was done by an American that's tired of being oppressed by the taxes." And the lady on the other end said, "Oh, that's a horrible thing to say." Well, it was true. And he also predicted that all the stuff would get worse and worse and worse. And I could pull out paper after paper that shows that all his analysis were spot on. So that's when we got to the point where we're like, okay, well, all things seem to be, just falling in place on all these I don't know, you want to say predictions because somebody's going to say, "Oh, you're one of these freaks," or whatever like that. Well, he uses a probability analysis to just figure out these things and recommend how you can reduce violence across the country, be it police brutality, mass shootings, school shootings, all that stuff. So it's all these things that he wanted to make better across the whole nation. But they're like, whoa, I guess we don't want anything better. Okay, oh, I'll share it out. What was? Oh, he was reading the paper. No biggie. You know me. I'll just keep going on and on. And pretty soon I'm like, what? I've been going an hour and a half and I don't even realize it. But my point is that all these things that you have built your life around, thinking you want to you want to have a job or some type of thing that so you can provide for your family. You want to be, as a man, I don't know how that would be, but because I was always like the stay-at-home mom. So this was where like we're the last of the nuclear families, okay? Because I know a lot of women are going off to work. There's a lot of single moms out there and stuff like that have to rely on different things like these daycare places and stuff like that. Well, I never put my kids into, like, none of my oldest ones were like ever in a daycare like one day in their life, and we never had relatives that lived close by because we moved away from home when we were pretty young, when Chris joined the Air Force, and so we didn't have even the relatives around to take care of our children. We feel we had our children and we were responsible for raising them. And a lot of people at the beginning also would be like, oh, you're homeschooling your kids, they're not going to get that social interaction at the school. But it's not true, because you're going to have neighborhood kids, you're going to have functions throughout the year. Oh, you're going to go do the Easter egg roll, or every holiday. There's always going to be some event that you can take your children to and be part of the community. And so that's not really a problem when you have like 5 kids. I mean, well, it's kind of weird because my oldest two like really weren't in my youngest two's life a lot, because by the time my youngest turned 2 years old, we decided to move away from New Hampshire and Dartmouth, and then we ended up moving back somewhere later. And we did the same thing because originally we're from Ohio, and then years later, and my middle son, his name is Hawk, and it's like I had him at the normal time. He's like smack dab in the middle. I had him when I was 25. Okay, that's when I should have been starting to have kids, not at 7, 18, 19, whatever. I mean, you can do it because your body bounces back a lot better if you have your children when you're younger. Let me can tell you that. When you're older, it's like, oh my gosh, all these different problems. But as long as you all are in shape, I mean, you can bounce back from having your kids and be a beautiful mom and beautiful person. So what's going on in the chat? I'm going to say it's why imperative to we get our voices heard within the next 4 years with Trump, because he's our only chance. And this is true. And that's what I thought our only chance was in 2016 when he was running for office. I thought the same thing. And then we started talking back and forth, like from 2014, 2015. I would be calling the Trump Tower, and it ended up, I got some numbers during his campaign. I got the Corey Lewandowski, if anybody remembered him. I had his cell phone number during the campaign. Michael Cohen, this is the guy I was talking to for like years before Trump ran for office. In fact, he was thinking about running before that. So our idea was, hey, we're still looking for that foot in the door. So he's like, he knew the story, which what happened as far as the false fusion exchange bulletin. Okay, that's what I had been, getting on my senators and congressmen about, because we found through these fusion exchange centers that if you look it up, like a fusion exchange bulletin, you won't find that, because they don't want people to know that you have this threat tag on you. So if you look up fusion exchange centers, it will say, if you're very religious, if you ever collected money for a charity, if you are very political, if you take notes, sir, ma'am, you may be a terrorist. And this is the mindset of these people. And then they also more recently coming out with this when they're calling people sovereign citizens. And before you know it, we really don't know anything about this person, but all we know is the cops are standing there with like dead people behind them that have guns on them and say, oh, these were sovereign citizens. How do we know? I don't know. They're dead. They don't know. We don't know their story. We don't know this another shooting again in Tennessee at the schools. Um, uh, my point is they've been looking at the wrong people. If they think we're the bad guys, I'm telling you, if they haven't learned by now, the bad guys. And to me, how do we solve all these problems across the country, even when it gets down to weather and hurricanes? Give our children back. Things will go a lot better for you, because people that have messed with us throughout the years, I'm telling you, it's very strange. But you can see what happened to Michael Cohen, right? He said, I'm going to forward this letter, I'm going to forward this resume to Donald Trump, and see if we can get y'all a foot in the door, with Chris's advisories, what have you. And he screwed us. And then he ends up screwing Trump. So I mean, Trump. I would at least say I need a Trump bump. Okay, so I'm sorry, you guys. I can't. Homeschool children score higher on every merit, academically, socially, and much better than public school kids. Right. Exactly. I mean, look what's happening in our schools, guys. There's more and more people that are going to turn to homeschooling. But with CPS, we're wondering, oh, well, is that like we're almost putting an extra target on our back? You are going to homeschool your kids, and we're not going to have that control over you, okay? And they don't like that. They don't not like having control over us. And that's like, what do you call that? Anarchy? I don't know, what do you call it. You guys help me out on that one. But I mean, they definitely discourage homeschooling all the wrong way. And since we've like moved around so much, I noticed like each state is different state to state. Like in New Hampshire, all you pretty much has to do is sign a paper with Department of Education in your area, and let them know this is what you're doing. Now, in where was it? In Ohio and in Minnesota, they actually, even though you're homeschooling your kids, you can borrow books, and you can borrow the books from the school. They allowed your children to be part of, the football team or whatever, sports that they wanted, you know. So it's called communism. Thank you. Oh Lord, not that it's funny in any way, but I can tell you guys, wow, it's just like my, like I say to everybody, it's like my life is a bizarro world. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. And if a lot of people be like, you should be writing a book, this should be a movie, and I'm in agreement. But I mean, I have it all in my head. It's just like if I can get all this organized on paper. That would be a miracle in itself, because I find myself like, everybody's going to have this problem getting into a depression. You've tried all these different avenues, trying to help your children, trying to, do anything you can to get your children back. And it's one fail after the other. So it's like sometimes we get to a point, I'm not going to be ringing the senator's phone, and I'm not, I just can't, I don't even want to get out of bed today. You're lucky if you're able to do that. So New York, you need to have a teaching degree. Oh, really? Wow. I didn't know that. Um, New York. New York is a show. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. All right. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think is where we actually started. Like, I mean, when your kids are really little, of course, you just do your own thing. You do your own thing at preschool ages and stuff like that. I mean, still, from the age of kindergarten, a lot of these places will provide you, like, even, how they have those workbooks and and everything like that. You just pretty much sign it out like a library, and at the end of the year, you turn whatever that's not a usable book back in. So that's how it was in Maine. Maine, I'd say, really has a good for homeschoolers, okay? Because that's where all three of my kids went through pre-med outside of Orono there. Even though we had moved back to Maine twice, we moved back to Ohio, just like this song. Pat Benadar. We moved back to Ohio, and our family was gone. There was no downtown. There was nobody home. It's like, we found out when we did live close to family that everybody had their own lives and everybody's busy. You know, didn't really have time for visits and stuff like that. And it's a sad situation, but we went back to Ohio like when we had the two youngest, and we lived there for probably about a year, and had a great time. Everything, we fixed up that house and sold that. We flipped it. We flipped that house, and then we decided, well, it was a decision whether we were going to go move to Cleveland, and my son Hawk would go and go through college in Cleveland. But at that time, there was like all this racial tension, and if you reverse back further, that when we were going to these different events, when my oldest is 40, and then my oldest daughter is 39, my son is 40. So when we were going to these different events where my kids were getting awarded and stuff like that for honors and stuff, they'd have these little dinners, and the professors would come up to my son, are you going to be coming to, and they actually invited him as like he was 9 or 10 years old or whatever at that time. But in any case, like I say, well, now he's 33, so you can tell the difference between the older two. So anyways, we're back in Ohio, and then we decided, hey, we're coming back to Maine. We're coming back to Maine because we know they really are really great working with homeschoolers coming in to this college, and we already have history there. So we moved back to Maine for the second time. And that is really actually the time where we ended up finding out that we had this threat tag on us. And the threat tag is something where law enforcement pulls you over. Okay, they're going to look at your license plate, they're going to pull up your name, right? And it's all associated with that. So if they're pulling you over just on a traffic stop, and all of a sudden you see like 6 cop cars around your vehicle, and I have my two youngest in the back of the car. I mean, Sage and Chris were like, I think it was 5 and 7 at that time, and sure enough, it's just like eventually, if you were ever to look at that YouTube post where my husband was put in a chokehold and they're twisting my wrist, and because I was taking pictures of what was going on, this was the side of the highway in Brewer, Maine. And so it's like, what is going on? And we really didn't figure out anything and really think too much about it. But literally, there's a state trooper on this side of the car. There's deputies from 2 different sheriff's offices. There's the Brewer Police Department, and these are the first people. But if you go back on the tape, you can hear the officer say he's got a terrorist hit on him. What? That's kind of strange because we never committed a crime in our life, and I mean, we're outstanding members of the community. Christopher ran for legislator twice. So, like I say, again, gets back to the dirty politics. Really? We have a target on us? Why is that? You like to go on YouTube and you like to do like maybe like Alex Jones type shows or something like that, conspiracy, type thing. In fact, I tell you, the day before we were going to take like a trip all the way to like Washington D.C. is when Alex Jones was doing that. It was Obama dictator. It's like, who wants to win this contest? You go hang up these Obama dictator posters, and we wanted you film it. And you make, like, I don't know if there was a time limit to the film that you were making about, hanging up these posters wherever you wanted to do it, however you wanted to do it. Everybody gets to turn it in and try to win this contest. Well, we all started in Maine, and we went all the way to Washington, D.C. And every state we went through along the way, we were hanging up, or Chris was hanging up these posters, and we submitted our thing and everything. But y'all, look what happened to Alex Jones. I mean, he's one of the first people that are talking about, children being harmed. And I mean, but the thing is that if somebody's doing, like, you're not doing a news report, you might be having, like, how Chris used to do it. He used to have it, like, in the background. Or sometimes he wasn't even in the film at all, or he'd just show a clip of some police brutality, what have you. This is what's going on. These are current events, and maybe putting his 2 cents in or whatever, or doing a show like kind of a crazy Rush Limbaugh thing. But in any case, you can't prosecute somebody on their on-air performance. But it seems like for all these years, I can tell you at least from 2012, we had FBI knocking on our door asking about a call that we made, that I made actually to the Department of Justice, and just wanted to do a check to make sure, like, we weren't some crazy people that, no, we're not really crazy. We just like to pick up the phone call and say, hey, blah, 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 which is our right to do. People don't like phone calls anymore. I mean, they never did even back then. So that's why I have, like, almost a lot of anxiety. When I was really young, 611. It was a lot of 3 times a day. Oh, yeah. But you're calling, and that's the thing. It's like, you get to the point where you do all that and say, well, where is it getting you? It seems like it's getting you deeper into a pit of that you can't even get out of, because it's just like, wow. It's just like, that's what I always said. If I did write a book, it'd be like, this is America with a question mark. Remember, okay, even songs. Okay, so I would take, entertainment to the level of songs. Okay, a lot of people are speaking out their beliefs or their criticisms or whatever through music. Okay, that goes all the way back to the folk songs like the Bob Dylan started out as a folk singer, right? And what's he singing about? You know what he's singing about. Same thing that reigns true today. And then you have other people like certain rappers and stuff like that would come out with a song. You know how popular that one was? Fuck the police. Sorry to say, watch my language. I don't care. Well, so in any case, are they feeling threatened by this music? Well, these people have a lot of money. So is that okay for them? Is it okay for somebody that doesn't have a lot of money to use YouTube as a broadcasting platform to put your stuff on there? Or they don't want you to do that, so they don't want you to do that so bad that they're going to get into your life and they're going to take your kids away. That's how we can shut you up, right? Well, I can tell you that's what happened to us, okay? So I'm glad to see there's younger people out here to, walk the walk and do it. Just do it and do it, because, I mean, I'm getting to the point where I get a lot of anxiety if I have to do something like this. Like, okay, so I want to make a call. I want to do this. I want to do an email. Well, I get so much anxiety. Like, I don't know if it's part of my post-traumatic stress disorder. Is it part of, getting my head split open and all that? I mean, who knows? Who knows? But it's definitely trauma-induced, I would say. Okay, let me get it caught up on here. farm work twice a day, ride once a week. Well, come on, guys, tell me the truth about it. Nobody wants to come in and say, hey, let them in, let them talk. I mean, sometimes I like to type in my comments, and sometimes, I like to speak up. It depends on my mood. Write a book, Brenda. I think everyone should write a book. Exactly. They make it so easy now. All you gotta do is pick up your damn phone and talking to them. You got yourself a book. Come on. Who's recording this? Come on. Help me out, guys. Seriously. And again, you want to talk about Elon Musk? He's autistic. There you have it. He's got money though, so okay. So he can have a bunch of kids. Nobody's gonna take his kids, and that's really another problem is parents that have delays. You're gonna take their kids away from them. I mean, there's so many different scenarios of the bizarre reasons that your children will be taken away from you. You know, so. And in our case, it was definitely a setup. My husband was framed for a little bit of marijuana, which he had nothing to do with. In fact, and the funny about it, during 2016, the time my children were taken, the agent that, or narc, or whatever you want to call him, the guy that helped frame Chris. Like this was in April, so this is how many months before the actual election in November, okay? So this guy was involved with really bad drugs, talking about what's going on in Dixon County, a lot of meth and these horrible things. I don't know, fentanyl wasn't even the thing that they talked about back at that time, but I mean, these really messed up people that are doing these messed up things, but you're going after somebody that, like a grandma. That's what my husband says. I like a grandma that wants this, has a little bit of weed, instead of going after these criminals, murderers, really bad drug addicts that are providing drugs to these young girls, underage girls, and getting hooked on all this stuff. Somehow that's okay. But what you're doing, keeping to yourself with your little bit of marijuana, what does marijuana really do for you guys? I mean, if you do have a prescription like I do, it's of course they want to discourage the legalization of it. Why? Because it's helping so many people. It's helping with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety. It's helping with children with epilepsy. It's helping people with Alzheimer's. I mean, cancer patients. The list go on and on. But somehow the government's coming in and saying, "Hey, this is a bad thing. No, we don't want you doing this." I'm telling you, the world would be a lot worse place if nobody smoked marijuana. I can tell you that. It'd be even worse than this. Can you imagine it being worse than this? It's hard to think that it possibly could be any worse, because it seems like we're at the bottom of the barrel. But like I say, guys, I mean, if I can get through this, it's been going on 9 years. It will be 9 years in April that my children were taken. If I can do it, you can. And don't ever give up. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing what you feel will get your family back. Just do it. And at this point, I always thought, what do you have to lose? I mean, what else do you got going on? If your kids were here, you'd be spending time with your kids. So take all that time you'd be spending with your kids and fight to get them back. And that's oh yeah, that would be something. Couldn't it be something if Elon Musk bought MSNBC? Wow. DLC, and I always really got a kick on watching that Rachel Maddow and Morning Joe. If I wanted like a laugh or something like that, or just see like what these people are like, where the mindset is, I would turn that on. I swear to God, we'd watch that Morning Joe and Rachel Maddow just to just to maybe get us excited at some point. It's like, oh my God, you know. But it's kind of interesting, like even with the war in Israel. I mean, sometimes it's interesting to look at the news from like the Palestinian side or whatever, and see what exactly are they saying. You know, what's their side of it? Because I think, you know, in America, that's the way it should be. Is like, okay, you have this thought, this belief, okay, which is our American right to believe or think or do whatever we would like, as long as we're not breaking any laws. So, but what happens when your Department of Children and Families and Child Protective Services are the ones that are breaking the law, and then um, ending up with this destroyed country that we have today? And why are there an increase of these shootings at schools? Has anybody looked at the statistics of the children that have been acting out in violence at these schools and doing these mass shootings? Were they ever involved with child protective services, or do they have a broken family? Um, I mean, I used to keep up with those statistics and everything like that, but I stopped doing that after a while. Um, so what are we getting on? See, I always this is why I always get messed up on the time, guys, because like I'm Central Time, so even though like I start, for me, when we start the show, it's at 8:30, and for you all in the East Coast, it is 9:30. And where my husband is, and maybe my children are still in Florida, but my husband has been abducted from me as well. And to get down to it, a lot of people will talk about these guardianships. Not only are they abducting our children, but they are taking our parents and the elderly and people with developmental delays and stealing them away from families. I mean, my son, as a doctor, have seen a lot of this where the family, sometimes puts their parent into one of these nursing or care centers, only to be finding out they are actually being abused. And who's making, yeah, again, it's all about follow the money, follow the money, you know. So it's a sad situation. I know there's other ladies that I've talked to throughout these past I say maybe 6 years, with their stories about, hey, my mom was actually, kidnapped from me. It's really a horrible situation. Now I feel kind of the same thing because my husband's turned 60 in jail this year. His doctor wrote a letter and testified in court about his onset dementia, his post-traumatic stress disorder. It really let them know that my husband's no threat to anyone. He's, yeah, maybe he had substance abuse with alcohol after the kids were taken. I mean, how many people want to drown themselves in some alcohol? I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that want to do that. But isn't the funny thing about it, though? I mean, there was the prohibition, and now I guess it's okay for people to drink alcohol but not smoke marijuana. And look at all the damage alcohol would do to you guys. I'm sorry, alcohol is a depressant. So that's why I recommend stay away from it the best you can. Or if you have an addictive personality, you're going to have to stay away from it altogether. If you don't, like once in a while, I don't see any problem with that. But don't drink yourself into like a blackout situation because then you have no control of what you're doing. You won't remember what you're doing. I mean, I never knew what that was. Okay, I never knew what that was, but having your life destroyed and your children taken away will drive you to drink. You ever hear that saying? Will drive you to drink. I don't. So what is Lady P? I don't smoke anymore, but I made it connect with my kids more when I was engaging and playing with them more, more patient, etc. Oh yes, okay. It depends on, like, some people can't smoke on weed at all. It's like they get paranoid, anxious, stuff like that. But okay, so Lady P says, right, didn't they a ton of people out of prison for weed charges when it became mostly legal? And yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Whatever happened to that? Okay, because the only charges my husband ever had was both marijuana, and one was here in Louisiana. Now, Lady P, I told you all my problems were in Florida, but they moved on to Louisiana when we moved here, because when I tried to rescue my daughter, and they came and um, went to my home in Louisiana, and where my husband was, and seeing if me and my daughter was there, and again, it gets back to that false threat tag, that false bulletin. There was a recording that I still to this day is trying to obtain. It's from 2019 in May, where the officers are on the way to our house, and there's a recording of it. And one officer says to the other one, "Are you going to get, I don't know what they call it, written consent, whatever. Get a warrant is pretty much what she's saying. Are you gonna have a warrant to sign?" He said, "Oh, we don't need one because they don't like us." That's on a recording. So, what chances do you have when those officers come up to your door that they're gonna have a warrant? And my husband said, "What? You don't have a warrant?" He said, "No, you're not coming in. You're not coming in. My wife and my daughter are not here." And they pushed their way through. They came in, and Chris said they were going through drawers, everything. Then they went to the property that I initially bought like a month before that. And the property next door was just an old trailer with a beautiful property, fenced in property in the back. So apparently there was some marijuana growing back there. And how are they going to come to my husband's house 4 o'clock in the morning, and then with their drones or whatever the way they did it, um, see marijuana plants that were about like this big? Okay, my husband says hemp. Okay, it was hemp. In any case, then give him a charge of manufacturing marijuana. And we had a grow light in the house that was in storage. Okay, it was in storage, obviously not being used. I like to grow a lot of herbs and tomatoes, and we had all kinds of plants in pots. But it was at the time of year we didn't have to use the light. It was in storage. We were putting our plants outside, and so they took that light. We never got that light back. And then that's where that charge came from, was again with the marijuana. I swear to God, I have dreams of my life about this marijuana. It's like, truthfully, if I never smoked marijuana in my life, maybe I wouldn't be here today, because I wouldn't be talking about my kids being stolen and all this other stuff. So who are they targeting, guys? Because it seems familiarities of the people that are being targeted by CPS are low income, people on Social Security, people that want their country a better place, that may have some ideas to share, and these are the people. Let's see. So I never did finish reading. Okay, they should have been giving parents their rights back if they were TPR'd for weed too. Ah, good point. Exactly. You know, exactly. Because what happened in Florida, after that election that I'm telling you about, that Chris ran, that election, it was legalized medically at that time. Now, when I went back to Florida all these years later, they're actually selling actual weed in the stores. I mean, it's not that those jars that they're taking out the THC. No, this is actual weed. Okay, it was over in Tallahassee. There's a place that sells it just right out there. So I'm like, oh, that's okay. Wait, okay. run away to the woods in Alaska. You know, there's also a place, you guys ever hear about Slab City in California? Where I think it used to be a military base. Put it up on YouTube. Slab City. People that want to go live off the grid, no electricity, nothing. They want to get away from this government tyranny. They've gone on to Slab City, and I'm just wondering if that would have been the place to go when I'm trying to get my daughter out of abusive foster placement. Brenda, how many children do you have? We've got 5 altogether. So me and Chris been together since we were 14 and 15, and we met on like a blind date, and then got married when he came home for Christmas leave out of the Air Force before he went into technical training. So we got married on December 29th. We just had our I think a 43rd wedding anniversary. And so we were married young, so we have 5 kids altogether. My 2 oldest, like I say, my oldest is 40. My next oldest, they're actually 10 and a half months apart in age, is she's 39. He was born in May, she was born in April. So then, like I say, we ended up to went from Ohio. They were born at right past Air Force Base, and then we moved to Minnesota. We wanted to go out and live in the woods and have animals and just pretty much live off the grid. We ended up getting 5.5 acres and had our little life going on there in Minnesota. And I swear to God, this was in the 90s, guys, and I can tell you instances where CPS wasn't in my life when I was in Minnesota, but the cops were, and they were asking us, "Are we not Kuma cum laude? That's what my kids are. It's some kind of posse." But if you look at it again, it's similar to what these cops are saying. Oh, they're sovereign citizens. No, we're not. Whatever. Like we went over and over again. Sovereign and citizen shouldn't be put together. But that's what the CPS supervisor said about me and my husband. And you look up the different definitions of sovereign citizen or whatever, or different interpretations of it. Cops will add a different word on before. Do you ever see this guy in Florida, Grady Judd? This cop that's supposedly rescuing or arresting all these child traffickers out of Disney World and stuff like that. And he's became really like kind of popular because he's kind of like puts a little humor into it. But what is my point about that? To me, it just seems strange because also these bordering states like Florida, California, a lot of trafficking going on in these situations. Texas, I'm telling you, it just I don't know if anybody's ever looked up those statistics, but that's pretty messed up. The thing is like we're going through like a lot of different like scenarios of people doing entertainment on YouTube that they didn't get arrested for it. They're doing entertainment. Like, you ever hear this? What is his name? John Julie or whatever, where he sang this song and it went like it was like a comedian. He ended up being in a couple movies. I'm not sure how to say it, but his first name is like Jon, and his last name starts with a J, and he's like does this song. Guns don't kill people. I kill people with guns, right? Everybody thinks that's funny. Oh, well, that's really funny, right? I don't see them CPS getting in his life, but anyways, like I say, it's always usually about who you know or who you blow. Come on, you guys know the truth. Okay, so 5 children. Like I said, the oldest is 40, 39. My middle son is 33. Me and my husband's total support system. Like, always been for us every step of the way. Always been there for his younger siblings too. And now, fast forward, my youngest two that have been taken are Sage. She's from autism or Angelman syndrome. She's 21 now, and Christopher is 19. So we're talking about young adults, okay? And we have no idea where they were, even though their brother was approved and certified to take placement to adopt his siblings back in 2018. I think it even went into 2019, where they're trying to make the decision of where the kids were still in foster placement after TPR. And that's when I found out my daughter was being abused in this foster placement. And she gave, I don't know if y'all ever looked at my YouTube channel, Brenda Cameron, I think it's under. You can see the videos of my daughter. I taped her on her little leaf pad, and she's just really crying and wanting to go home. She's like, I don't know why these people tore me away from my real mom and dad. And it's sad. It's really a sad situation. And I think, guys, that's a lot of the reasons we don't get a lot of views is because people don't want to be sad. But having our children taken away, that does make us sad. But to have these different support groups and people that you can talk to, or parents that have been through similar situations, or if there's something that we can do to educate people on how to avoid this happening in your life. Sometimes it's just, sometimes it may be inevitable, but like I say, they like, um, maybe with some people, I don't know, but there's got to be some people out there. I know there's been success stories. Okay, people are getting their kids back, and the only way we're going to get our kids back or bring attention to this is keep banding together, seeing what we do, always legally and following the law, because we don't want to break any laws. We don't want to break any rules. We don't want to be like the people that actually stole or were responsible for taking our children. We don't want to be like them because they're in a position of authority over certain things. And if they are doing things that are breaking the law, this is what has to be brought to the attention of president. I'm saying it's got to be the president at this point. Okay. I mean, my kids were actually taken right before Trump became president. So again, now right before Trump became president again, now they stole my husband. If anybody thinks that's weird, I do. Slab City is the worst place in the world to live. Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, living in the hottest place in the desert with no electricity. I mean, I think I would like to visit it at some point, but I mean, if they have problems with like the local people that live there burning down each other's houses and stuff like that. It's the last piece of free land because the environment is so hostile. Do you know, this is what Lady Pete's saying? Do you know they are where they are now, Brenna? Find them now that they're adults? No, like I say, no idea where they are, and they did a closed adoption, and so that is the main thing. Is like, what do we do now? Okay, the kids are adults. Well, the only thing I can figure is, since you know how they, like, throughout your case you'll find the CPS caseworker, whoever, or the Department of Children and Families attorney. They're all lying every step of the way. Like, what? And our like court appointed officers on the children's case, they would be saying something like this, and we'd be whispering back. I'm like, how are they going to say that? And they would say to us, this is what they say: don't worry, the judge isn't going to buy their crap. Can you believe they're saying this to us, but nobody's speaking up? So a lot of times, I'm thinking a lot of times it's better to defend yourself, because at least then you're going to have your voice heard. Like if you go pro se, like this is what it's a toss up. Lady P, are you going to call? Because okay, so about 2 o'clock your time is usually the time that my son is here. Like it'd be like, let me think. 2 o'clock to you is 1 o'clock to me. Okay, so his lunch break actually starts at 12, but he usually has to go down to the hospital, take care of some things there, and then he usually, with it by 1 my time, which is 2 to you, he should be here. So anywhere between, maybe, it's possible he could not have to go to the hospital. The thing was, is they had 2 days off because of all this cold, crazy weather they're having. Oh, Chris is calling, guys. Okay, this is my husband. Okay, he might want to say something. Darren, what's going on with that extra music? It's kind of weird.
Hello,
So,
this is a prepaid call from.
oh, thank you. Okay, Chris is funny. He made a funny voice saying it's Chris. Because all right.
Or press 1.
So I can't see the comments right now because Chris is going to be on the air. I gotta press 0. Okay, good. Darren, can we like cut the music because it's almost like it's going to interfere with this?
Thank you for using global towing.
Hey, we're still live. Is it like, what time is it for you? Okay, 11.
Well, yeah,
That's okay.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that freedom comment that the people getting out of Trump rally for the people getting out of January 6th people. They all seem to say the same thing, freedom. And it's freedom that we will fight for alongside Donald Trump. I'd be proud to tell my ancestors, just like my forefathers fought with George Washington in the first revolution. That's all in the paperwork there. I'd be proud to fight with this president for freedom in this country. It's been too long that these child molesting judges and these pedophile prosecutors have been holding on to the children and putting parents in jail for no reason at all other than miscellaneous misdemeanor stuff that should be helped out in other ways, like hospital therapy, rather than just to destroy their lives and everyone's life. So freedom is a word, and it's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful thing.
Right, let freedom reign. Yeah, we were just going through some of the history of how we've and even we've been called great American patriots by Andrew Carr during Bush's administration, and you have these. Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. The thing is that it depends on the administration. It seems like always, but I mean, we've had thank you letters from the Clinton administration through Bush's administration, like thank you letters for work on national, the horrible mass shootings that are going around the country, and maybe offering some advice freely. We were free to offer our advice, but nobody took it. And look at the mess the country is in today. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, the reason I was so many years ago right about the rampage shootings going to be on the increase is because the whole idea of a zoo mentality of everybody's feeling caged up.
Okay, speak up a little bit.
Everybody's caged up. It's really the problem. It's a zoo mentality. It sounds funny yelling, but I'm not angry at anybody. Zoo mentality. Well, that's what I've seen a long time ago. There's just too many laws, and the same thing happens in a zoo, where animals will start attacking each other that normally wouldn't do that in the wild when they're free. They would not. You wouldn't see the animals attacking each other. The ones that are supposed to, anyways. So You'll see a lot of attacking in the prisons and the jails. You'll see a lot of people attacking each other. And it's just extended out to where you get out, you're not really free. It's not real freedom in a lot of ways. And people say, if you don't like it, get another country. My family's been fighting for over 250 years for this country. My dad's a veteran. I'm a veteran. We've all been fighting. We're not going anywhere. We're going to fight with this president. We're going to fight with Trump to keep this place a free place. All right, I'm going to go and get excited again. But everything's going good for me.
Okay, good.
And I just got back to commissary, and I just got That's straightened out. Surgeon's okay. Freedom.
Okay,
I
hey,
love
this
you,
is
Brenda.
okay. I love
Love
you.
you.
I love you. Thank you.
Love you.
Okay, there you have it. From the mouth of the oppressed. Here we go. Okay, what's going on, guys? Vinny show is coming up. Oh wow. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we gotta cut this short. Okay, not it's short. We've gone overtime. So let Vinny do his thing, and thank y'all for joining. Sorry I can't keep on the comments like I should be. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I've got something going on today. I've actually got a job interview. Is that am I going to be able to get a job? Probably not, because you know why? Because they're going to say, are you a felon? And then, I'm telling them the story. And I'm telling my story here and wide and loud because I'm sorry. This is the reason I'm a felon, because my daughter was being abused in a foster placement and I tried to help her. Okay, that's why I'm a felon. And CPS are destroying parents' lives across the country. So fight on. Okay, guys? All right, I'm going to let you all slide. Thank you for being a part of the chat. Really appreciate everybody that is putting their comments in. And I'm sorry, I'm not as good as Danielle keeping up on the comments. All right. I'll text you so you have my number. Okay, good job. Yeah, that way when you're here, we'll call you. That sounds great. Thank you, Lady P. Thank you. All right.
But they'll never take
Now,
her spirit's
Yep.
grin.
that's what we tried for.
CPS came knocking at her door, took her babies, left her sore. But Brenda's heart, it ain't for sale. She'll fight back, she will prevail. Oh, Brenda, keep on rising high through the tears under troubled sky. Life ain't easy, the road's so rough, but love is stronger, love's enough. Empty rooms, memories linger there, echoes of laughter, whispers of care. She plants hope in each day's light. In the darkest hours, she finds her fight. Neighbors pass, they cast their glance. Whispers say she don't stand a chance. But Brenda's dreams, they never fade. In her eyes, the dawn's parade. Sun will shine through clouds and rain. She'll mend the broken, salve the pain. For every loss, there's a new gain. Through every downfall, she'll remain. Sun will shine through clouds and rain. She'll mend the broken, salve the pain. For every loss, there's a new gain. Through every downfall, she'll remain. Sun will shine through clouds and rain. She'll mend the broken, salve the pain. For every loss, there's a new gain. Through every downfall, she'll remain. sitting by the window pane. Lost her husband, lost her name. Government's hands, they took